So, Rabbi, would you tell us in more detail what the total composition of the Torah is, please?
Okay, yes. So the translation of the word Torah means teaching, means to teach. And the basic tenet of Judaism is that God created the world, created the universe. And of course, he put people on the universe, as it's told in Genesis. And of course, God would not leave people to their own devices without giving them an instruction manual of how to navigate the world and how to navigate themselves. So Torah, conceptually, is the teaching of God. It is how to navigate our lives. Over 3,300 years ago, the basic tenet, as it says in Exodus, that the entirety of the Jewish people, 2-3 million people, had a divine revelation where God gave them his manifest, his instructions, how to navigate the world. And we call that Torah.
That is the 5 books of Moses, the Pentateuch, the Old Testament, right?
Has 2 parts. The first part is what we call the written Torah, or the written law, as we call it. In Hebrew, it's Torah Shebiksav. That written law is the way that we identify it as the Torah scroll. Moses, at the end of his life, wrote down the Torah scroll, which is the Pentateuch, which is the 5 books of Moses. We call the 5 books of Moses because he wrote them down. And he gave a Torah scroll. He actually wrote a Torah scroll for every tribe. And he gave each tribe a Torah scroll. That's the written law. Now, of course, the written law is very terse and it's difficult to understand. Anybody who's ever tried to pick up the Bible, who's ever tried to study the verses themselves, will find that they're challenged in how to understand them properly. And so therefore, God explained the 5 books of Moses to Moshe, how to understand them, how to derive laws from them, how to derive lessons from those words. That is known as the Torah Sheba'al Peh. That is known as the oral law, meaning the law that was given to Moses orally. God spoke to Moses and told him the explanation of the Torah when he gave him the Torah 3,300 years ago. So that's the oral law. That is the basic composition of the entirety of the Torah.
Rabbi, walk us through the various components of the oral law, including the Talmud, the Gemara, the Mishnah.
So the oral law was oral for many years, meaning that it was handed down from one rabbi to another rabbi. We're talking about scholars of very good caliber, of strong caliber, very scholarly and wise. Maimonides describes this tradition that we have. It is also described in the Ethics of Our Fathers, from Moses to Joshua, Moshe to Yeshua, and it was oral. Then it was written down about the time of the year 200 of the Common Era. And that was known as the Mishnah. So the Mishnah was compiled by Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. We call him Rabbeinu HaKadosh, the Holy Rabbi. And it was written down, divided into 6 sections, dealing with all kinds of different laws. And then it was passed down from one generation to another generation. We have that text, it's called the Mishnah, and there's many commentaries on it. The Mishnah also is a little bit ambiguous because the Mishnah itself is contradictory from one Mishnah to another. That's called Gemara. Gemara is the study of the Mishnah. So therefore, there was also developed in the next 200 years the Talmud by 2 rabbis called Ravina and Ravashi. The Talmud is the explanation of the Mishnah. Gemara in Aramaic means teaching also, to teach. And it is to describe the material, but the material itself is the explanation of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is divided into sections called Sedarim. There are 6 Sedarim. 1 Seder, 2nd Seder, 3rd Seder, 4th Seder, dealing with different topics. Each Seder has Masechtos. It has tractates of Mishnah and then tractates of Gemara. You can study the Mishnah by itself. But if you pick up any tractate of Gemara, you will find on the pages, the Mishnah is printed there also. You can open up any tractate, you'll see the Mishnah printed there, and then following that Mishnah, the explanation.